Hey guys, Ramon here from Project Put Under, Nessus by day and DIY by night. I'm up here in my attic and figured I'd start the video up here. Today's video is going to be kind of a hodgepodge from, as you can kind of see here, how do we store all of these lights and PVC frames that we've made for our windows. I'm also going to be covering things that pertain to installing the PVCs on the windows, routing the wires, breaking stuff down to put stuff away, which is what I'm in the process of doing, and just little tips and tricks that kind of popped in my mind as I was taking everything down for the season and putting it all up away. So I'm going to apologize because there's not really going to be a smooth, thought out video, but it is full of lots of tips and tricks and ways to help you to be able to lay out your Christmas lights, your wiring, your custom extension cords, everything that we've done in those part 1, 2, and 3 videos, and kind of put it all together, kind of see how I did it, as well as storing it all, breaking it all down. So hopefully this will wrap everything up and cover all those little other details when it comes to this. So enjoy the video. Feel free to comment below. If you guys have any other options for how you guys like to store these things, please comment below. It's always very helpful for the community. Okay, so these are what the lights look like at night. Garage and everything. These all have the custom extension cords going everywhere, connecting everything. The red and white ones are just from Govee that I installed. And then these down here from Costco, I believe. But that's what it looks like. All custom frame, custom extension cords. Okay, so I wanted to give you a close-up of how I did mine. So for me, just orient you, so I'm at the far left of my house. And I started here because I made a custom extension cord that goes to my smart plug there. And this long extension cord always stays attached to this. And then what I did is I took another custom extension cord and as you can see here with all of these, and it is zip tied here, and that's the one that goes to this next one. So if I disconnect this here, so with that disconnected, this always stays with that number 1. And then here I have another custom extension cord, and this always stays here, and that's what plugs in to my door frame. This one also has another custom extension cord that's zip tied, and it goes all the way up to that one, and attaches there. And so that one always stays. So this one has the most because it's got to go up, it's got to plug in, and it's got to go to the next one. Now over here, this is the last one. So it goes up, over, down, and it ends here. So this one doesn't have any custom extension cords. This extension cord here is always attached to this one, but that one doesn't have any extension cords. This one also has the long extension cord that goes all the way up to the top. Now, I could have chosen to have that long one start from the top and come down, but I just chose to keep the long one going up like that. And so that's always attached. And then this extension cord here is always attached. So you just have to route it out in your head. But other than that, so I have where it starts there, the custom extension cord, it's attached to the bottom there, and then it swoops down and attaches there. This one, same thing. And so it just goes. One of them, I think it's this one, I had to start this extension cord all the way over there attach it to the bottom, and then bring it in all the way to that one over there. It just got kind of weird because I was making this transition, and so I had to have an extra long extension cord. But you just do what works. I did the same thing here, so I have at the bottom of my garage a custom extension cord that goes up to a smart plug there. And then for my daughter's window, I made a custom extension cord that also attaches to my smart plug. What's nice is that you almost can't even see them during the day. And I'll show you what everything looks like as I take them down so you have a better view, but I just wanted to kind of outline everything. So for me, because I'm moving in this direction, custom extension cord starts there, attached to the bottom of that frame, and then the rest of the loop is just free hanging, and that just repeats itself over and over again. Hopefully that makes sense actually seeing it in person. So I label all of mine. This is number 2 left. I just do everything from left and right of the door. So that would be that one there. It goes 1, 2, 3, 4. But this is what pretty much all of them look like. So I have my custom extension cord zip tied here, and I just have it plugged into the bottom of this light, and then the male one is ready to be plugged into the next side. So quick little note about these frames, I just pulled this one off, but they're not attached in there with anything other than friction. So hopefully I can show you this and do this with one hand. But that's it. Just friction fit just like that. They've never fallen down. We've had storms and wind and everything, but they've just stayed in there this whole time. So all of them, the ones up top, the big one, picture frame, this one, and that big window up there. The only ones that aren't quite completely friction is the ones over the garage, just because it gets so heavy. It's a long distance. So I got these magnetic hooks. So you can see there, and it just holds it in place and hooks onto there magnetically, and that stops everything. So I just have 3 hooks. I mean, you can see that one's not really doing a whole lot, but it's at least keeping it in place so it doesn't fall off. But that one in the middle does the most. Yeah, it keeps everything nice and tucked in there. Okay, as I'm taking this down, I'm kind of remembering what I did, so bear with me here. If you notice, on pretty much every single window, I put the plug. So when I made my frames and then I did my custom lights that I have in another video, when I actually attach those lights to the frame, I put every single plug to start and end in the bottom left corner. And that's the same for all of these, with 2 exceptions. And this is something you have to think about when you're routing everything out. So the very last window, I put it at the bottom right because that was going to be the closest to here, and I wasn't going to have anything going from here to there. So I wanted that plug to start and end in the bottom right corner instead of the left corner like all the other ones, because it'd be a closer connection there instead of having to go from here all the way over to that side. The same is true for that one up at the top. So you can see I started and ended it on the right side as well. And that's because I wanted this wire to follow this line here, just make it a little bit more clean instead of having that wire come at a diagonal. Because of that, for this one, my extension cord had to be extra long because it starts from that corner, zip tied there, does a little droop, zip tied all the way across that one, and then plugs in right there with all the other connections. And then the other wire comes down to here. And this one is also on the far right. I lied, there's 3, not just 2. That's on the far right. And so I had that other extension cord zip tied there, looped, and then attached to that one. And all of that is because I wanted all of this to be on the far left side here. Just like on that side, I wanted everything to be on the, I wanted it to be on the far right side here. And on that side, I wanted everything to be on the far left side of my house, just to keep things clean. So just little things to think about when you're designing this. Try to keep things as clean and uniform, symmetric as possible. And so these are the little things that I had to think about. So these 3 windows had them on the bottom right instead of the bottom left like all of the other windows. Hopefully that makes sense. And with that same note, I did the same thing when designing this because I knew I wanted to plug this window into here. And so I made sure I had the plugs here in the bottom left corner. If any of you are curious how I did this little arch, I just used 45-degree PVC connections. And then the other important part is down here, you need this bar to connect both sides, and that's what tightens it all up and keeps its shape. Because if not, with that 45 and this, all wants to be straight, these legs would be like here and here. They go way out there. And so you need this bottom rod to tie it all in. And of course, nobody trips on it. It's tucked in nice and clean. But just so you guys can see that. Okay, another little trick here for storing. These that fit my normal windows, I don't have to break down. They can fit up in my attic without any problem. And I just have the old school drop down attics with the ladders. But the width of them and the length are enough that I can squeeze them up there. The picture window and my daughter's big window over there, and then of course the garage and the door, they all have to be broken down. And I'm going to show you how I do that without having to remove any of the lights. And you can see that one over there. So this is my picture window. I've already went ahead and disconnected the PVCs in all 4 corners. Now what I did is when I designed these, I purposely left a little extra slack at all the corners. So you start here where I have the connection. So I have one plug starts here and then ends here. And I'll leave the slack in the corners so that I can just turn them. And then I have enough slack in that corner. I can just turn it like this and then finish it up just like that. And so it doesn't take a whole lot of extra slack, but just enough that you can do this. And the best way is just to put one of your zip ties a little bit farther down, because these have a little bit of up and down play in between the lights, and that can also help as well. But there it is. Now, this has a short extension cord, so you can just wrap it around. But I wanted to show you what to do if you have a really long extension cord. On my daughter's, it's really long, so I don't want to just sit here and just wrap and wrap and wrap, because it sucks when you're putting them out the next year and you have to sit there and unwrap them. So what I did is I created just a quick little bundle here, and then I'm not going to be able to do this with one hand. I will tie just this piece around like 2 or 3 times and cinch this bundle up to it just like that, using that. And then if you want, you can take this free plug and plug it into here, and it keeps it. So that is what I did here. Bundled it up, wrapped it around 3 or 4 times, plugged it in, and now all that extra extension cord is there. But when it comes time next year to put them out again, I just unplug this. I only have to undo it like, I think I did like 3 turns, and then boom, all that extra wire is free to go without dealing with unraveling. Ask me how I know. One last thing I wanted to mention, and it kind of seems obvious, but sometimes when you're planning all this in your head or on paper, you kind of forget these simple things. But when you're running your extension cords, and how I told you I put the plugs at the bottom left on almost all of them except for those 3, don't forget with your extension cords, you want to think when you're routing them, your first one, it needs to go male to female, right? Because your house, your main electrical outlet is female, so you need to go, you run your extension cord from male to female connection, and then a male connection to female connection, and just keep working that process through, so male to female all the way around. Hopefully that makes sense, but sometimes you can start getting your extension cords flipped if you forget how to order things and which direction they all need to go. So not sure why I didn't think about this sooner, but you know, I live and learn. I have a bunch of these Velcro straps, so I'll post a little picture here of what they look like. But I think my plan is I'm just going to keep them permanently mounted. So it has this little hole here. Just push this through. I use these all the time on all my other tools and stuff that have, you know, long wires and cables. So that will just stay on there. And then you just wind these up. So I think I'm going to go back and do this to all of mine, but just something I just randomly thought about. Boom. No more long cables draping anywhere, and that should be just fine to stay on there, and it's light color so you won't really see it even when it's on the house. Okay, I just wanted to show you how I store things. Everybody's attic is completely different and where you're going to store it, but just to give ideas, I have this unused space. This is my slanted or vaulted bathroom ceiling. Plus I have all this pipe work everywhere, so I just created this frame. It's just simple 2x4s, and that's where I put all lights. Of course I have like sleds and boogie boards and stuff there. But what I really wanted to show you was this. This is how I hang my lights so I don't have to take them apart. These are the really long ones. Now I have a very steep pitched roof. So this is just to give you an idea of things that you can possibly do depending on your roof and attic situation. But this is how it looks like when it's installed. And this is where I put my shorter ones for my top windows. So I'm just wanted to kind of zoom in. You have to make them longer than you think. I made that mistake the first time I was doing that, and hopefully you'll kind of be able to see why. But I wanted to do kind of a close up, and then I'll step back and do an overview of everything. Okay, this isn't gonna be the easiest scene to film, especially since I'm by myself, but hopefully you can just appreciate the overview of it. But I'm gonna put these up here, and then the reason these have to be longer than you think is because you have to push them forward in order for it to reach over here, and so I didn't want them falling off. And so you can see how far they come out, and then once you get in there, they just slide into place. This one's a little awkward because it's right by the corner of my house there, but we just keep doing that with all the other ones. That's just a quick overview. I'm not going to have you sit here and watch me do all 4 of them, but just another option. It's always hard with all these Christmas decorations to find places to store them all. So I just wanted to give you an option of what I've chosen to do. All right, guys. Well, like I said, that was kind of a hodgepodge video, but hopefully you guys got something out of it. I tried to put in as much information as I could think of there, especially at the end and breaking things down, things I've learned. That little Velcro trick, you know, you do this year and year after year, you kind of just think of things, you know, randomly. And so always trying to improve ways to make our lives easier. So if you got something, feel free to hit that like button and thumbs up and subscribe. Share this with somebody else, and hopefully you guys have a good Christmas and see you next year.